On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, the new 6-seat longer wheelbase Model Y L has officially launched in China, and we've got a ton of new details about the biggest Model Y ever as a result, and some of them are very pleasantly surprising. Plus, Model 3 adds a highly desired part back into the interior in China, the Model S, X, and Cybertruck get a fancy new Luxe Package, and more. What's happening, friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey, joining you for the palindromatic episode 525 of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, coming at you every single Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. This one is publishing on August 24th, 2025. I am surrounded by not one, not two, but three wonderful four-legged friends. I've got Daisy the Boxer to my immediate left. Oh, somebody who's not supposed to be on the couch. That would be mine of the future service dog. I'm going to have to shuffle her off of there in a second because that's against the Canine Companion's rules. And behind me, chewing on a bone or something over there, would be Lily, the silly Labrador puppy. As I said, this is a palindrome, episode 525. I always like pointing those out because they're just fun. Speaking of fun, I want to thank everybody that came out to my Ride the Lightning listener meetup this past week at the Tesla Diner in Hollywood. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, as always. It is incredibly humbling that anyone, let alone the great group of people that came, that anyone would take time out of their life to drive an hour across LA, or in some folks' cases, even longer and farther than that, just to come out and meet up with me and check out the Tesla Diner. I mean, it is super humbling, honestly. And speaking of that listener meetup at the Tesla Diner, this week's Lightning Round mini episode, which I do exclusively for my very generous Patreon backers, those of you kindly contributing at that $10 per month tier or higher, that's the most popular tier on my Patreon. This week's Lightning Round was all about the Tesla Diner. It was an impromptu recording. It was recorded from the Tesla Diner. I just took out my iPhone. I didn't have any of my recording equipment with me, and just passed the phone around to everybody, all the listeners that attended, and we all talked about where we're from and what food we had and what we thought of the Tesla Diner food, and it just turned into a really fun, it's short, it's like a 10, 12-minute conversation. But I hope those of you who are very generously supporting what I'm doing here with Ride the Lightning over on Patreon, check out that lightning round and enjoy it. And if you'd like to join my Patreon, I would be so grateful and appreciative if you did. This is a free podcast. It always has been. It always will be. It gets on thanks to the support of all of you guys, and Patreon is the primary way to do that. So for more information, you can go to my Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/Tesla podcast, and you'll see all the different support tiers there. Each one comes with its own set of perks and bonuses, and the higher up you go, the more perks and bonuses you get because they all stack. So the $5 per month tier, if that sounds good to you, say, hey, Ryan, I'll throw you $5 a month. Well, I try to say thank you for doing that by offering you not just early access to each week's episode as soon as I'm done recording it and uploading it, which is typically Friday nights, but also an ad-free episode that you still get early. So that's just the $5 tier. Step up to that most popular $10 per month tier, and you get the early access, the ad-free, and the entire library of those lightning round mini episodes that are now up to 156 of them, I believe. And if you want to if you're like, hey, I'll support you, but I don't want to do the monthly thing, can I just throw you money once? Well, yes, there is an annual pledge option on Patreon, and if you choose that, I say thank you by offering you a 10% discount on the annual pledge. So again, patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Let's get right into the main story this week. It is a big one. The Model Y L has been officially launched in China, with deliveries set to begin very soon in September, which, as of me recording this, is barely over a week away. And so we now have a bunch more details about the longer 3-row, 6-seat Model Y. And I'll be totally honest with you guys, I am genuinely surprised by some of the features that Tesla is including in this longer, taller car that also happens to have more headroom for the third row. So just a lot of, we knew that, but a lot of little changes as well. So a lot of this information that I'm about to share with you comes from a video uploaded to YouTube by a Chinese user with the channel name Geek Lai, Laii. And he is speaking Chinese because he is, of course, from China. But thanks to that user's English subtitles on the bottom and just the visuals of what you're seeing in the car, we get a pretty clear idea of just about everything that's new and interesting about the Model YL. And I also want to give a tip of the cap to our Tesla tipster friend Sawyer Merritt for rounding up all of the interesting new details as well. So let me get started here. One of the biggest surprises for me is that the headrests are now adjustable in what appears is definitely the front row, the front two seats, and it sure looks like they are in the second row as well. That is a feature that many people have wanted in their Tesla for a long time, including my wife, for the record. I think she's kind of used to it now, but I still think she would prefer to have an adjustable headrest. So the Model YL has exactly that in the first two rows. Second, I am also quite surprised by this one, the extendable leg supports / if you want to call them thigh bolsters in, again, the first and second rows. So what I'm talking about here is that the bottom section of the seat closest to the edge can extend out for taller passengers to better support their legs, their thighs there. So as far as I know, don't quote me on this for sure, but as far as I know, this is the first time Tesla has ever offered that feature in any of the cars that they've ever made. So in the Tesla space, kind of a big deal. Next, it's got air-cooled wireless phone chargers in the center console. So very, very similar to what we have in all of our newer Teslas, basically anything from 2019 on up. Because let's see, my 2018 didn't have it. I think they added it to the Model 3 in 2019 and the S and X at about the same time. Anyway, every Tesla made in the last 5 years has a wireless phone charger in the center console. But the Model YL air cools them. Yes, the charging base has small air vents in the center that blow cool air out onto your phone to help prevent overheating while wireless charging. The left driver's side wireless charger now supports up to 50-watt charging speeds as well. That's a significant increase over the 30 watts it is in all of our cars. The passenger charger, the right-hand charger, is still 30 watts. So the driver one on the left there gets a significantly quicker charging speed, and both of them get the air cooling. Let's move to the second row now and talk about that. The second row captain's chairs fold flat, something that even the Model X's super fancy second row seats, at least when we're talking about the 6-seat configuration of the X, they don't do that on their very, very cool pedestals. In fact, both the second and third row seats fold flat or come back up at the touch of a button. So that is the case with the second row bench in the new Model Y, and it is now the case in the second row captain's chairs and third row bench in the Model YL. By the way, those second row seats are ventilated, which is also Not the case in the current 6-seater X. The seats themselves are perforated, but there's no ventilation, there's no airflow through the second row seats in the 6-seat Model X, but they are ventilated in the Model YL's second row. The third row seats are not, though they are heated. So every seat in the car in the Model YL is heated, and the first 2 rows, 4 of the 6 seats, are ventilated as well. And yes, you did hear me say captain's chairs, which means those second row seats have armrests. And these are super cool. They can be hidden away or raised up to be used at the touch of a button. If you just touch a button down below, kind of on the base of the seat on the inside section. So if you're sitting on the driver's side, second row seat, it's on your right. If you're sitting on the passenger side, second row seat, it's down on your left. And just tap the little button down there, and the captain's chair armrests come rising up out of the base of the seat, which is just super cool. Speaking of cool, literally cool, there are dedicated air vents up at face level on the B-pillars on either side for the second row occupants, and again at face level back on the C-pillar for the third row passengers. So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, owners of 7-seat Model Ys, but I believe the old generation 7-seat Model Y does not have air vents for that third row. The Model YL rectifies that and adds them. White interior, if you're a fan of white interior like I am, it is a bit different from what we have now, in that the entire armrest is the vegan white material. The entire armrest is white. Now, all of you know I am a huge fan of the white interior. I have it in both of our Model 3s. But even if I'm being honest here, I'm a little unsure about white armrests, because the armrest is such a major touch point in the car. It's going to get touched a lot over the many years of use. And I worry a little bit that over time, those white armrests, and thus the door handles built into them that you're going to use to pull the door shut from the inside, are going to get grimy and weathered, whereas you don't see that on a black armrest. I'll say I get the same worry about the white leather, or I don't know if it's vegan leather or what, but there's the Volkswagen ID4 EV in the first edition ones, which some of you out there may own one of these. They have a white steering wheel. And that to me just is like, oh man, that seems like it's going to look pretty bad / pretty gross after a while. I hope not, but that's what I can't help thinking when I see that. Although, then again, just to bring it back to Tesla, the new S and X have a white center console armrest if you order the white interior. So definitely there are listeners out there hearing this that have a white interior 2020, let's say the 2021, one of the early refreshes, either long range or plaid, it doesn't matter, just the white interior. And maybe you can drop me an email, teslapodcast@gmail.com, and let me know if that center console armrest piece that's white is staying nice for you, or if it's starting to get a little bit grimy. So we'll see what happens on the Model YL. The point is that armrest is white, and I guess it remains to be seen how that's going to hold up over time. Now, here's a feature in the Model YL that I genuinely wish that I could get in my Model 3 Performance. All black headliner. Yes, every Model 3 and every Model Y that have been made to date outside of Giga Shanghai, or even, I guess, all the ones even at Giga Shanghai, just up to the Model YL, have had just I won't call it white, but just like a light, light beige, whatever color that actually is, a light colored fabric headliner. Although I know, just for you historians out there, when I say fabric, before you email me, oh yes, I remember well, that the first 2,000 or so Model 3s back in 2017 actually had an Alcantara headliner. And then Tesla stopped doing that. So those cars are unicorns in the overall Model 3 family. Anyway, all black headliner in the Model YL. So the Model S and Model X have this, although it's a more premium material. It's Alcantara, which if you're not familiar with Alcantara, it is in my opinion, really nice to the touch, very soft, luxurious feeling material. A lot of more luxury and premium cars do use Alcantara in either a little bit or a lot throughout the interior. And so I will just jealously say that in my Model 3 Performance with the white interior, man, would I love to have that black headliner, because it would just make the white seats and the other white, the white door panels, it would really make the white components of my white interior pop a little extra. I would be thrilled to add that in my car. I know that is not going to be a retrofit option. I mean, I guess I could get it if I took it to an upholsterer, I guess a professional, maybe. I'm sure such a thing as an automotive upholsterer exists, but anyway, probably not gonna go spend the couple $1,000 that would take. But all I'm saying is Model YL will have the black headliner, which should make the white interior in that vehicle just look extra good, in my humble opinion. The Model YL adds a new speaker below the screen on the back of the center console. So below that second row screen, in between the two second row captain's chair seats. And then it adds another one in the ceiling just behind the second row captain's chairs. And that means in total, there are 18 speakers and one subwoofer in the Model YL. Speaking of the second row screen, on the back of that center console, there's now a pair of cup holders that slide out. It's like a tray, a little thin tray that slides out at the touch of a button as well. So another nice little addition by Tesla there. Cup holders for the second row. And I'm still going, by the way. There's still a lot more to talk about here. There's, again, a lot going on with the Model YL. Speaking, let's see here. Where'd I leave off? In addition to the USB-C chargers that are, as in our cars now, underneath that second row screen for the second row passengers, there are now two more for the third row on the fronts of the seats in the center, meaning they're basically under the bottom part of your thigh hamstring when you're seated there, just in the center area, like between the two seats in the third row, basically, if you can picture that. So all three rows have access to USB-C charging. Up front, the main center touchscreen is ever so slightly larger. It's a 16-inch touchscreen versus the 15.4 in the cars now. I would guess that's probably more of just a Tesla supplier updating their product thing rather than any sort of super intentional move on Tesla's part, but I guess you never know. Either way, bigger screen, that sounds pretty good. The suspension in the Model YL is described as a second-generation suspension system equipped with continuous variable damping that is noted as unique to the Model YL. The L clearly in this vehicle does not stand for long, although, I guess it does, but I think it clearly also now stands for luxury between the adjustable headrests, the the thigh bolsters, the black headliner, larger screen, the nicer suspension. The L in Model YL stands for both long and luxury, because at least compared to the regular Model Y. The overall cubic feet of storage number is 89.6 on the Model YL. It does have the same 82 kilowatt hour battery pack that the other Model Ys do, with a range that translates to an EPA rating of about 327 miles. Now, if the car comes over here, we don't actually know exactly what it's going to be rated at by the EPA, but the Chinese metric, which is way optimistic, converts, it's like 400 something by the Chinese metric. It'll actually be like 327 or so miles. As for the performance of the L, the 0 to 100 kilometer per hour time, which by the way is 0 to 62 miles per hour is the exact translation there, is 4.5 seconds. So adjusting for 0 to 60 means it's probably it's pretty close, about a tenth or two difference on that. It is priced in China. Now this, don't get too excited here, because I just don't think this is going to translate to the US if this car comes over. It's priced in China at the equivalent of $46,700. And if that sounds too good to be true, it probably is, because the existing long-range all-wheel drive 5-seat Model Y here is $49,000. So if it comes stateside, I'm going to stick with my previous prediction, and I'm going to say it's going to be $55,000. So we'll see what happens there. Now, overall, and there is more to discuss, but overall, my opinion on the Model Y L, this seems like an absolutely fantastic version, unquestionably the best version of an already amazing car. Like, it's easily the best of the new Model Ys. It's not even close with all the features that it's got. And I think it would sell extremely well here. As I've said before on probably many other podcasts, there really aren't any EV minivans, unless you want to count the Volkswagen ID Buzz, which, again, I would count even if Volkswagen doesn't count it, because it does have 3 rows and a sliding door. Now, the Model Y L doesn't have a sliding door. It is not a minivan, but I think it could appeal to families who want an EV minivan, but maybe don't have a choice of one. It's like the VW ID Buzz, which is like 70 grand. It's a little overpriced for what it is, in my opinion, particularly with the fact that it has a range of about 235 miles. But anyway, I just think the L could appeal to a lot of families in a big way. So I'm not going to sit here and say that if the Model Y L is available globally, meaning in North America and Europe, I'm not saying it would just vault to the top of the charts and become the top-selling version of the Model Y, because price is going to be a huge factor in that. The Tesla doesn't tell us which version of the Y sells the most, but I would make a small in-and-out bet lunch wager that it's the more affordable one. It's the long-range rear-wheel drive. Now, that same logic probably doesn't apply to the Cybertruck, because it's just in a much higher price class. And as I've said before, and you guys voted in the Patreon poll, most of us don't really think that the more affordable Cybertruck, the long-range rear-wheel drive, is a particularly good value for all the things it takes away. But when it comes to the Model Y, a more mass-market priced vehicle, I would imagine that the long-range rear-wheel drive, since it has pretty much everything that the long-range all-wheel drive does, it has more range, number one, it just doesn't have as much performance or the all-wheel drive traction. But anyway, the cheapest Model Y is probably the top-selling one now, and it will probably remain the top-selling version. We'll see about the stripped-down Model Y that I detailed on, what was that, last week or the week before. We'll see it depending if they've stripped away too much and if the price is right. If that is a $35,000 Model Y, then that one probably will become the top-selling Model Y variant. But all that is to say, I think the Model Y L is going to appeal to a lot of families in a big way. Now, on a related note, I saw a lot of chatter online in the Tesla community this week centered around what must surely be the imminent demise of, if not the Model S, the Model X. And by the way, if one were to go, the other would probably go too, especially in this case, because the X sells more than the S does. I doubt they'd discontinue the X and keep the S, but I don't think either one of them are going anywhere, and I'll talk more about that now. As I said, after the recent mini refresh from just a couple months ago now, I just don't see Tesla getting rid of the S or X or both. The Model Y L didn't come out of nowhere, right? Meaning Tesla's been planning it for some time, and if they were going to kill the S and the X, they almost certainly would not have bothered to update the S and X at all, minimal though those updates were. Plus, it just makes good business sense to have the more aspirational flagship cars in the lineup because it helps get more people in the door via the actual foot traffic into stores or in the door online via the website, tesla.com. And by extension, helps get more people into Model Ys and Model 3s. Now, the S and X as well, they're also profitable. They've been around for quite some time now. Regardless of how few they sell, they are profitable vehicles. Those are profitable vehicle programs for Tesla. So the question would be, if the Model Y L were heralding the demise of the X and possibly the S, what would you do with the manufacturing resources in Fremont if you killed them? And since there currently aren't any other high-volume cars on the horizon that would make more sense for that manufacturing capability, and before you say Cybercab, I'm not counting that because we already know that Cybercab will be built in Texas using the unboxed method, and so the existing S and X production line would not be a good fit for the Cybercab for a couple of reasons. So I just don't think there's really enough of a case to convince me that the S and X, or just the X, will or even should be sunsetted. Now, there's another piece of this, and this might, when I say upset you, I don't mean in like the actual like, grr, I'm angry sense, but in the kind of like throw your hands up and maybe just be a little annoyed sense. Tesla CEO Elon Musk responded to a post on X about the Model Y L and its availability here, and he did so pretty definitively. Elon posted, quote, "This variant of the Model Y doesn't start production in the US until the end of next year. Might not ever, given the advent of self-driving in America," end quote. However, the day before this post, a reliable Tesla source that I trust that has delivered in the past for me on news, on stuff I've brought to this podcast and has come true, a reliable Tesla source I trust told me that the Model Y L will be made available to order here in North America this quarter. So basically any time now, but probably in September, with deliveries beginning in the US in Q4. Now, I am pretty confident in who I heard this from, but it's quite at odds with what Elon just said. I mean, I suppose we should probably believe Elon when it's coming straight from him versus anyone but him, which is, my source is not Elon in this case, as a spoiler. That's not who the source is. So Elon would have to be blatantly lying with that post for my source to be correct. So I'm not saying that I don't believe Elon. I'm not saying that I think he's lying, but I do think it just doesn't make sense to have a new product that a lot of customers are really interested in and to just say, essentially, well, we might not ever bring it over to our biggest market, but if we do, it's over a year away. That just doesn't seem to make any business sense to me. Do I know business better than Elon Musk? No, I absolutely don't. But it seems pretty common sense to me. Now, for what it's worth, Elon was getting killed in the comments over that post, both on X and over on the Tesla Motors Reddit as well. Because here's the thing, even with autonomy, you are still going to need to transport your family all together. A family of 4, 5, or 6, they're not going to take 2 or 3 cybercabs to get where they're going, or even 2 separate 5-seat Model Y robotaxis if it's a family of 6 or well, I guess 6, not 7, but they're not going to take 2 robotaxis to get somewhere when the Model Y L could fill that need. And this is, I don't want to get too off track, but this is the zero-sum game with autonomy that I've talked about that I just don't get. Tesla can vigorously and wholeheartedly pursue full autonomy and still make new vehicles in new segments to satisfy actual market demand for the next 10 to 20 years as autonomy will slowly, it's not going to happen overnight. Even Elon should hopefully admit that. Autonomy will slowly, over the next decade or two, change society and also how we view transportation. And Elon certainly thinks, and I would agree, that it will change society and how we view transportation for the better. So it's honestly, if you go look at the post, I don't know if you have an X account and you want to go find his post on it, but it's honestly pretty rare to see Elon get lit up on his own platform by his own fans, because usually, if I'm being honest, it's pretty cult worshipy on Elon posts if you look at the comments underneath, but not this time. And good, because cult worshiping, that's not good. That doesn't help anybody. But 2, he should get lit up for this one. It's just not a great statement. It's like, I know that a lot of you are probably saying, well, he just wants people to buy the existing versions of the Model Y right now. And if you are sitting at home saying that, I would agree with you. But if his goal here was just trying to not Osborne effect the current Y, I feel like he would have phrased his post differently, because he was pretty definitive about it, saying not till the end of next year, if ever. So we'll see what happens with this. And I guess I'll sum up by saying that if the Model Y L were to suddenly appear on the North American Tesla website in about a month from now, don't be surprised. And if it happens, I could maybe see Elon saying something on X like, oh, okay, we heard you guys. You win. We're bringing it out over here too. Which, if they're planning it, they're planning it. They're not just going to snap their fingers and suddenly a Model Y L production line appears out of nowhere in Texas and or Fremont. So I really want my source to be right. And I guess I'm saying I hope Elon is lying here, even though I'm not a fan of lying. I just don't, he could have just phrased it another way. So I don't know where this ends, but if it's either he's lying and we get the Model YL here and we get it soon, and that would be great, but it would be not great that he posted a straight up lie about it, or he's not lying and we're not going to get it here for at least a year and maybe never. And I think that would be the absolute wrong, bad decision. So I'm not sure where this is going to go, but we'll all just have to sit back and find out. And I decided to make this the subject of this week's Patreon poll. Not Elon's post specifically, but just the Model YL itself. And I phrased it this way. And by the way, for those of you, if you're like, hey, what do you mean? What poll? Every week on my Patreon page, I post a new poll for anybody to vote on. It's open to the public. You don't have to be supporting me. You don't have to be giving me a dime. You just have to swing on by my Patreon page each week and vote in the poll, because I want to hear from all of you. I think these polls can be fun and sometimes instructive. So swing on by. The poll usually goes up on Tuesday evenings. And again, the website there is patreon.com/Tesla podcast. And so the poll question was, which Model Y would you buy? Now, I said, basically, set aside whether you already own one or not. And I just said, if you were looking to buy a Model Y, which variant would you want? And the poll results here, which again, I would venture to say most of the people that voted in this poll hadn't seen Elon's post. And I think the poll results are very telling, because 39% of you, which was by far and away the number one most voted option in this poll, the next closest choice had 19% of the vote. So by more than a 2-to-1 ratio compared to any other choice in this poll, 39% of you voted, I'd want the Model YL. And then another 8% of you, because I knew somebody would leave a comment on this if I didn't include it as an option. So another 8% of you voted, I'd want a Model YL Performance if Tesla's going to offer the L in a performance variant. For now, there's no indication that they're going to do that, but I just thought I would throw that in case people wanted to vote that way. And well, 8% of you did. By the way, over 300 votes in this week's poll. So a pretty nice sample size. Thank you to everybody that took the time to vote. So if you add those two together, that is nearly half of all the votes said, of all the Model Ys, I would want the Model YL. 19% of you voted, I'd want the existing long-range all-wheel drive, the dual motor. And then 15% of you said, I'd want the upcoming Model Y Performance, which we know is coming. And then after that, it's all single digits after that, between I'd want the existing long-range rear-wheel drive and I'd want the upcoming cheaper, stripped-down Model Y. So the point is, there's a lot of love in this poll for the Model YL, and I imagine that pretty much everybody that voted in this poll is in either North America or Europe. Shout out to my Australian friends. But that tells me Tesla needs to bring this thing over here. And I think they are going to do it. I just think it would be insane not to. And hopefully we'll find out in about another month or so. Before I continue with the rest of this week's Tesla and EV news, and yes, there is plenty more to talk about, I want to quickly mention my friends at XCare, who are redefining the EV extended warranty. They're not thinking outside the box. They have crushed that box, disassembled it, and built a geodesic dome in its place, which is so much cooler. But seriously, looking ahead, building for the future, it's not anything crazy. It is what innovative organizations do. And that's why these folks, who are former Tesla employees, current Tesla owners, developed XCare. They've been around for 10 years now, so this is not some new startup fly-by-night thing. XCare is a comprehensive extended warranty designed exclusively for EVs. They've also rethought the entire customer experience because you know how annoying that can be. I have a 3-year, 40,000-mile additional policy on our 2018 Model 3, and the couple times that I've had to use it, the claim process has been super easy, reimbursement has been quick and painless. Also, if you just want to cover the high voltage battery and the drive unit and not worry about kind of the rest of the car, but just make sure that those high price, those high cost to replace items are covered, your vehicle may qualify for that coverage as well. Best of all, because you're a Ride the Lightning listener, you get $100 off when you select XCare's one-time payment option. Use the discount code LIGHTNING. Go to xcare.com, that's xcare.com, and you can choose the EV extended warranty that's best for you, whether it's like me, 3 years, 40,000 miles. Maybe you want to go 5 years, 50, all the way up to 10 years and up to 125,000 additional miles. Again, check them out, xcare.com. Okay, speaking of new things happening with Tesla over in China, here's a plot twist. The Model 3s now coming out of Giga Shanghai include a turn signal stalk, just like the new Model Y. So, history tells us that it is highly, highly likely, dare I say all but guaranteed, that this will come over to the Fremont-made Model 3s, aka the only other place on Earth that the Model 3 is built. Now, it's been almost 2 years since the new Model 3 launched out of Giga Shanghai, and the only reason that I can see Tesla doing this to a car that's been in production without a turn signal stalk for nearly 2 years is that sales numbers are down. Now, Tesla, as we know, is so hell-bent on deleting parts whenever possible that it just seems to me that for them to make a significant UI change like this that involves adding a part back in, they must think that it's going to make a material difference in sales. Now, normally, with a change that debuts out of Giga Shanghai, I would say, well, give it a quarter or so, especially with the super busy Q4 looming. However, if my hypothesis is correct and Tesla does see the turn signal stalk as something that makes an actual difference in demand and subsequently sales, then I think there's a good chance that they will reintroduce it here in the US sooner than that, perhaps even at the start of Q4, whereas normally, again, I would think they might do it in Q1 when things are quieter. Oh, and by the way, it gets even a little juicier than that. Tesla China is offering a retrofit for existing new Model 3s for what is the equivalent of $350. So we'll see if that same thing gets offered over here pretty soon. For my part, if it does, I will not be partaking in this particular retrofit. I have genuinely come to like the turn signal buttons in my car. I will say that I like them from the jump, although I know that the reason that I felt good about them right out of the gate is because I had the distinct pleasure of spending a weekend with a Cybertruck. That was early 2024, courtesy of longtime listener Emmett Peppers. Emmett, thank you so much. Again, you're awesome. You continue to be awesome. And now the Cybertruck drives differently, certainly with the steer-by-wire, but that weekend, I got used to using my left thumb to hit either the left or right turn signal. And so when I got my new Model 3 Performance at the end of last year, it just felt super second nature and super comfortable to me. So, and I like that there are no stalks on my car. I like the clean look of it, that minimalist look. So it works for me, but I want to be super clear. I don't begrudge anybody out there who would prefer to have the stalk Because again, clearly the market has spoken on this, and the majority of folks would prefer to have a turn signal stalk, but I am happy with the buttons in mine personally. So anyway, if in fact every Model 3 built worldwide does get a turn signal stalk back, I think the next reasonable question to ask would be, are the Model S and Model X next? And again, if Tesla thinks that it is having a genuine negative effect on sales, then yes, I think S and X will also get a turn signal stalk put back into them, although in their case, it would be for the first time in 5 years. That would be quite a gap, but I do think if it does come over here, and especially if there's a retrofit offered for the 3s as well, S and X will probably be next. Because again, I don't like it because I think they're such amazing cars and it just bums me out. But the fact is, sales of S and X have been trending downward for quite some time now. So if putting a stalk back in those cars might help in any way with moving sales back in the right direction on S and X, then Tesla will do it. Cybertruck, if you're curious, it genuinely, truly doesn't need it because of the steer-by-wire. And if you don't believe me, I really encourage you to go take a demo drive of a Cybertruck, because honestly, you should just experience steer-by-wire anyway, regardless of the turn signal thing. Steer-by-wire is just so much fun, and if your experience mirrors mine, you will get back in your Tesla, and it will make your car's steering feel archaic by comparison. That's how cool steer-by-wire is. But there you go. I have to say, this story took me by surprise this week. I was not expecting Tesla to walk back the turn signal situation in the Model 3. And there are yet more changes afoot with Tesla. This one is stateside. This is not coming out of Giga Shanghai or Tesla China. This one, though, is probably not so great, in my opinion. And the reason is because Tesla isn't giving you a choice in the matter. So the story here is the Model S and Model X and the Cyber Beast specifically, so not the dual motor Cybertruck or the long-range rear-wheel drive Cybertruck, are getting a mandatory new Luxe Package, Luxe, and with it, a price increase of $10,000 on the Model S and the Model X, and $15,000 on the Cyber Beast. Now, you do get cool stuff in that Luxe Package, don't get me wrong. You are getting FSD, free lifetime supercharging, free lifetime premium connectivity, and 4 years of premium service. And if you're wondering what premium service means, it means the wheel and tire protection subscription, the windshield protection subscription, and recommended maintenance, which per Tesla means scheduled services including wheel alignment, tire rotations, front camera cleaning, and replacement of the HEPA filter, cabin filter, and wiper blades. So, I am not knocking the package because I do think you get a lot of cool stuff there. Like, if they had offered this exact thing as an option on my new Model 3 Performance that I bought at the end of last year, I would have bought it. If it were the same 10,000, not 15, 15 would have probably been a bridge too far for me on the price of the Cyber Beast version there. But if it were 10 grand like it is on S and X, I probably would have bought it because I was already happily paying $8,000 for FSD. So another 2 grand for free supercharging alone would have been worth it to me. And then, because I'm planning to keep the car for a long, long time, and then the free premium connectivity saves me $100 a year, And those other protection plans would have been a nice bonus as well. So I absolutely would have taken them up on this had it been available to me. What I don't like is that this Luxe package isn't optional on any Model S or on any Model X, and of course on Cyberbeast. So it means that the Model S now starts at $95,000. Yes, you get FSD. Yes, you get free lifetime supercharging. Yes, you get those other things. But the bottom line is the new starting price of Model S is $95,000. The Plaid Model S now starts at $110,000. The Model X starts at $100,000, and the Plaid X is $115K, and the Cyberbeast also $115,000. All that said, I do hope that Tesla starts offering this package on the 3 and the Y as an option, not as a mandatory thing. Although, honestly, I think I've been doing this podcast long enough and following Tesla long enough to confidently say that they would not dare make it mandatory on the high volume cars. They're not just going to add 10 grand or even 8 to the cost of those cars, especially with the tax credit going away. So I'm not worried about that in the slightest. But if they offered it as an option on 3 and Y, they might not get too many takers, but I bet whoever they did get to opt in on that would still be a net positive for them. And can I just throw this out to anybody at Tesla that might be listening? If you would like to make free lifetime supercharging an option that I can buy as an upgrade in the Tesla app, I would like to do that. I think, again, because I plan on keeping the car for a while. So it would be, if anybody from Tesla's listening, please consider that, because I think there are power users out there like myself that would value that. And let's be honest, Tesla's going to come out ahead on that with most customers, right? As long, if they price it fairly, they're going to still come out ahead. Anyway, Tesla, please consider that. But my final note on this that I had left in my notes is this: I salute those of you who bought the new Model S in the April to July window of 2024. And the reason I specify that window is because that is when the price of the new Model S bottomed out at $73,000 for the starting price for the long range and $88,000 for the Plaid. So there was a brief 3-month moment in time where you could get a Plaid for a brand new Plaid for $88,000. Now the X in that time, shout out to the same group of people if you bought an X in the April to July of 2024 window. The Model X bottomed out at a $78,000 starting price for the long range and $93,000 for the Plaid X. And finally this week, a new study says that Teslas are the least stolen cars in America. Are any of you surprised? The answer, no. None of us are the least bit surprised. I saw this on Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, Tesla vehicles are proving to be the hardest targets for car thieves. A new study from the Highway Loss Data Institute, or HLDI, shows that 4 Tesla vehicles top the list of vehicles least likely to be stolen in the United States, with theft claim frequencies far below industry average. According to the data, the Tesla Model 3 all-wheel drive recorded a theft claim frequency of just 1, the context being 100 is the industry average. So it's 1, making it the least stolen vehicle on the market for 2022 to 2024 model years. The Tesla Model Y all-wheel drive followed closely with a score of 2, while the rear-wheel drive version of the Model 3 tied with the Model Y at 2. The Model S all-wheel drive, meaning not the Plaid, also made the list, coming in with a relative claim frequency of 5, equal with the Toyota RAV4 Prime, reinforcing Tesla's dominance in the top 5. Overall, 4 Tesla models placed among the 10 least stolen vehicles, highlighting the brand's resilience against theft compared to traditional gasoline-powered vehicles. Thank you to Drive Tesla Canada and to the folks at the Highway Loss Data Institute. If you're curious, as I was, about the opposite end of the spectrum, Drive Tesla Canada says, the study says that high performance and large pickup trucks dominate the most stolen list. The Chevy Camaro ZL1 topped the ranking with a theft frequency nearly, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at the Camaro, I'm just laughing at the relative number compared to Tesla. Theft frequency nearly 40 times higher than average. Now remember, 100 is average, and Tesla the Model 3 is 1. So that just puts it on the scale for you on the spectrum there. So the ZL1 Camaro, a theft frequency nearly 40 times higher than average, followed by the Acura TLX all-wheel drive and the standard Camaro. Several large trucks, including the GMC Sierra and Dodge Ram, also ranked among the most frequently stolen. So again, none of this on the Tesla side is a surprise to any of us, because we all drive these cars. We know it's really tough to steal a Tesla. Every 3 and Y ever made has not come with a traditional key or even a key fob. S and X had a fob for the longest time, until the last, 5 years, the current generation of S and X. But every 3 and Y ever made has only had the key card. You just, when you buy the car, you take delivery, you get handed a key card, and then I would venture to say most 3 and Y drivers, and again, these days, SX and Cybertruck in there as well, use their phone key. So you would have to get the person's phone in order to get the car. You're not just going to hotwire it in the parking lot and steal it. That's just not how it's going to work with a Tesla. Oh, and another thing, Tesla could give us the numbers on this, and I would love to know them, and we're never going to get them, but I'm just saying, Tesla could give us the numbers on this. That is, what percentage of Tesla owners are using PIN to drive? I would wager that number's actually quite low. Like, I'm totally guessing here, but it's the most educated guess I can make, but maybe 1 in 4, like maybe a quarter of Tesla owners are using PIN to drive. I do. I use it. I would wager that the number, whatever the number is quite low. It could easily be less than a quarter. It could be 10% for all I know. And if you activate PIN to drive, those of you that use it, you've got another significant layer of protection. Even if you got someone's phone to get in their Tesla, you're not going anywhere without the PIN code. So I just wish this study could get granular enough with its research to tell us what the theft rate of Teslas with PIN to drive activated is. Because I genuinely think, I'm not trying to be funny, it's if the Model 3 has a rating of 1 with the industry average being 100, my guess is, and I really don't think I'm wrong here, that the PIN to drive number would be 0. Or if it's 1, it's only because somebody got one somehow once, and that's higher than, that's like there was a theft somewhere once with PIN to drive. So it's so cool that Teslas you're not getting one if you want to try and steal one. It's probably not happening. All right, that is everything I've got for you in another busy week of Tesla news. Stick with me though, I will be right back with some of your excellent Ride the Lightning Hotline phone calls coming up next.
This is Bill Daniels, the voice of Knight Industries 2000, or KIT. You're listening to Ride the Lightning, the Tesla unofficial podcast. Happy electric motoring.
Welcome to the part of the podcast where I get to hear from all of you. The Ride the Lightning hotline. If you've got a question, comment, or discussion topic for the podcast, I welcome and invite you to call in with it. There are two easy ways to call in. Either use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question, and I kindly ask that you keep it to 90 seconds or less so that I can get to as many callers each week as possible, and then email that file to me at my podcast email address, which is teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or you can take that same 90-second or less question and simply call in and leave a message on the Ride the Lightning hotline. It's a toll-free number. You can call at any time. The number is 1-888-989-8752. That number again, 1-888-989-TSLA. And if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted like I do with them, or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. First up is Steve from Austin talking about the expiration of the tax credit.
Hi Ryan, this is Steve from Austin with a few things I've discovered recently about buying new Teslas. First, for now, full self-driving is transferable to your new purchase at no cost. Make sure the Tesla you're buying is on the same Tesla account as the car you're transferring FSD from. Do not include FSD on the order, as it will be added later in the sales process. Second, if you don't use any Tesla financing, you'll get 18 months of free supercharging. This offer is stackable, so if you're buying more than one car, it's 18 months per car, as long as they're on the same Tesla account. Third, you can get a customer appreciation discount of $500 off the price of your new car if you already own a Tesla. And last, which is a big deal for us in Austin, if you're buying an Austin-built car, you can choose to pick it up from the factory and get a 1-hour factory tour as well. You have to ask a sales representative to do this for you. If you just order online, it won't be offered. I'll report back on the factory delivery in a few weeks after it happens. Keep up with the podcast. I've been enjoying it since episode 200.
Thanks so much, Steve. These are great last-minute incentives to know about as the end of the quarter and thus the end of the tax credit creeps closer. Now, fortunately, as I was talking about last week, the FSD transfer has been added to the revamped loyalty program. So even though the fine print says it's subject to end at any time, this is pretty darn close to Tesla formalizing it as a normal, always available thing. And also, I guess on this note, I should add there was a post this week by somebody in the Tesla community that I can't 100% vouch for or verify, but it seems as though there's a little loophole in the tax credit where as long as you have a purchase agreement, or not a purchase agreement, but if you have put money down towards the car by September 30th, you can then take delivery after September 30th and then still get the tax credit. So I will look more into this for next week because I have not seen this sort of formally reported anywhere. I want to see if this gets vetted, but there could be some optimism if you find yourself kind of in a place where you've ordered an EV, whether it's a Tesla or anything else, and you're just not quite sure if it's going to get delivered by September 30th. But Steve, I appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Next up is Stefan from Monterey.
Hi, Ryan. This is Stefan from Monterey. Thanks again for the wonderful podcast. I was responding to Mike's call, Mike from Florida, regarding the full self-driving in his Tesla. And I'm a person that has a 2018 Model 3 with AI 3 hardware. and I get so many phantom brakings. I don't use FSD at all, and I'm very frustrated that Elon hasn't upgraded our cars yet. I would certainly buy a new Tesla with the new hardware, but unfortunately I can't transfer my free lifetime supercharging to a new car. So I'm just holding on to my 2018 with the older hardware, and I can't help the feeling that Tesla is just stalling and trying to wait us out, those of us with the old hardware, thinking, well, they'll just upgrade the car, then we won't have to upgrade them. I know he said he was going to upgrade our cars. I'm still waiting. I'd be willing to buy a new car if I could just transfer that free lifetime supercharging. So I'm still holding on, so I'm sort of stuck. Anyway, thanks again for all you do. Bye-bye.
Hi, Stefan. I always appreciate your call. Well, I understand your position. I happen to be in the same spot, though admittedly we're not currently looking to upgrade the 2018 yet, as that is now my wife's car, and she could not care less which FSD hardware version is in it. But I can't argue against your thought that Tesla could try to wait out the AI3 people. I mean, Tesla's CFO did say on the last earnings call recently that they're going to get FSD unsupervised out the door and then worry about what needs to be done with the AI3 cars. I can't find fault with that statement and Tesla's position on that, but I'm also not saying that you're wrong. For me, as I've said many times before, I do believe that Tesla does the right thing more often than not, and I believe they'll do it here as well. And as far as your free lifetime supercharging keeping you from upgrading, well, I will optimistically say I think there is a reasonable chance, certainly not a guarantee, but a reasonable chance that Tesla brings back the free lifetime supercharging transfer in the coming quarters as an incentive to get people to buy a new car once the tax credit is gone for good, or at least for the foreseeable future. So we'll see what happens on both accounts. Thanks, Stefan. Appreciate it. Next, John from West Virginia, responding to David's request from episode 524 that I was quite fond of.
Hey, Ryan, this is John from West Virginia. Just listen to the 524. I got an additional feature part of David's request. This doesn't have to be limited just to the new cars with the light bar inside to be able to change colors for emergency vehicles. Tesla has a screen. Whenever we have a violation or they want to get our attention, they turn around and put things on the screen, the red, the steering wheel with the red. It would be really easy for them to program in for them to cycle red and blue lights and lower our volume on our stereos to give us a warning of that emergency vehicle approaching from behind or even from the front. I know with full FSD, I see the car slowing down for those emergency vehicles already. It doesn't pull over to the side, but it does slow down. So I think Tesla could take it another step further, so it'd be a feature for all cars, not just the newer ones. Thanks for what you're doing, Ryan. Love the podcast as always. And you have a great day. Thank you.
Great idea here, John. That is an excellent addition to that previous call last week from David. I have nothing to add. I just think that is super awesome. I love it. It's a great thought, and Tesla should absolutely do it. Thank you for your kind words, by the way, and your very welcome call. 2 more calls for you. Here's Brian from Pennsylvania, who has a suggestion/question.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for that. Suggestion, question, maybe someone knows a way around this. I know when I'm doing road trips, and I do them fairly often, especially on the way back, I like to take a different route back. I don't like going the same way back and forth. I do the same thing hiking. I hate going back the same way. So I'm always looking for a different route back road, something like that. And the Tesla generally will give you options, 2 or 3 other optional routes. My problem is if I choose one of those optional routes, which are almost always longer, and then I make a pit stop, gas station, whatever it may be, when I get back in the car, or if I make a wrong turn and have to turn around or something, I miss a turn because I'm not using my full self-driving like I should be, the car will reroute back to the quickest route. And it's very annoying when it does that. Is there any way to stop it from doing it? I would just like to be able to lock in the route that I choose without having to put in waypoints. Because I know I can tell it, oh, Timbuktu is on the scenic route, and if I lock in Timbuktu, well, then the car is locked into going that way. But that is a pain in the butt, too. I shouldn't have to do that. Back to you. Thanks again.
This is a great question, Brian. And as it turns out, I think a fellow listener might have something that can help you, and the rest of us as well, specifically for having FSD go the way we want it to go, rather than the way that the car wants to go. Let's hear next from our final caller this week. It is Dave in Georgetown, Texas.
Hey, Ryan, it's Dave from Georgetown, Texas, just north of Giga, Texas. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Love your show. I just listened to the call-in where the guy was talking about being able to route your trips a certain way, and I've heard you talk about it, and it annoys me too. The solution I came up with is I drop a pin along the route that forces the route to go a certain way, and then just before I get to that pin, I say remove first stop, and it'll pull the pin up and keep going so it doesn't stop at each pin. I have about 4 pins sit around the city that I use for different trips and different routes. Hope this helps. Thanks for all you do.
Dave, what a fantastic pro tip / Tesla life hack / FSD navigation workaround this is. I love it. I should note, too, that Dave followed up via email after his call to clarify that the waypoints he has around his area are saved as favorites so that he can easily use them at any time. Dave, this is awesome. And until Tesla smooths this out for us with a remember my route button or something like that, this sounds like it'll do the trick brilliantly. Thank you so much. Man, I love this community because we're all here to help each other out, and it's just great. So thank you, Dave. Thank you to everybody that kindly took the time to call in this week. I promise I will get to more of your Ride the Lightning Hotline phone calls on next week's show. But for now, I will tell you quickly about what I've been up to with my car. And, well, I guess not much with my car this week, but as I said at the top of the show, the Tesla Diner Ride the Lightning listener meetup with a number of wonderful listeners who very generously came out to meet me. Just so much fun. And just my second time being there, I really like that place. The energy is great. Like, it was far less crowded this time, as you'd expect. First time I was there, it was the second day. So it was more, I would say, normal this time, like what the probably more typical experience is going to be like, where it wasn't empty by any stretch, but it wasn't like huge lines and crazy crowded. I love the energy. I love that sky pad with you can see the Hollywood sign in the distance from one of the viewing spots. It's just really cool. So I'm so grateful that I got to go down there again. I was there on business for my day job. So I mean, I flew in the same time I would have flown in if I wasn't doing that, and it just worked out where I was able to get over there for dinner, in the evening, and a bunch of listeners came over and met me. So much fun. I will try to do that anytime I'm in LA. I can't always promise it, certainly, but I do find myself in Los Angeles probably 3 to 4 times a year, I would say, generally speaking, for various day job things. So I'll try to give more advance notice next time as well. Entertainment recommendation for this week. There is a classic couple of video games that got a plussed up re-release this week on basically all platforms, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, including Game Pass if you're a subscriber there. And that is Heretic and Hexen. So you can get them together. These are old school games that are kind of cousins of the original Doom. Like, Heretic is basically medieval fantasy Doom in a sense, and then Hexen kind of is the sequel to Heretic that starts to establish a little bit more of its own identity and kind of leans into the RPG side a little bit more. Like there are melee weapons and 3 character classes. So it got cleaned up for modern platforms. They added some new content. So that is definitely a recommendation for me, because Heretic, especially Heretic, Hexen too, but I'm a big Heretic fan from way back in the day. So if you're a video game player, check out Heretic and Hexen if you like the original Doom. Back to Tesla stuff, and back to Brian from Pennsylvania. He's got this week's Tesla Pro Tip of the Week.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. Got a pro tip for you here. This summer I've been hauling around a 5x10 landscape trailer, and that thing is near impossible to see when backing up in the cameras, rearview mirror, anything. Today I was driving around the yard, and I'm holding this with a Tesla. And I've been driving around the yard, filling in holes with dirt and stuff. The 2 dogs are with me, jumping in and out of the hatch whenever I move around the yard with it. But I was backing it into the driveway just now, and I still had the hatch open. What a difference that makes in seeing. 1, I can see completely out the back of the car, but 2, you get a top-down view with the backup camera in the hatch, with the hatch up. You can see the entire trailer. You can see all around the trailer on the screen because of the hatch being open in the camera. This is like beautiful for trying to back up a trailer. It makes my job so much easier. Back to you.
Thanks, Brian. I do need to politely throw in a do this at your own risk warning here for sure, but I nevertheless appreciate this pro tip because, yes, if you're towing with your S, X, or Y and backing up at low speed, you're absolutely right. You'd suddenly have a much better, higher angle view of what's going on back there with your trailer. So definitely best to only use this at very, very, very low speeds, but take great care and caution when doing this at all. Yes, though, this is a good Tesla life hack when towing. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. If anybody else out there has a good Tesla or EV pro tip of the week, I'd love to hear it so that I can learn from it, and then I can share it with all of you so that we can all learn from it. To send in a pro tip of the week, you just send it in exactly like you're sending in a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call. I gave you the 2 easy call-in methods for that a little while ago. All right, home stretch here. Just want to mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully be of use to you at some point, starting with AbstractOcean.com, purveyors of so many great aftermarket Tesla accessories, and not just Tesla accessories for other stuff too. Rivian owners out there might find what they like as well, and especially Cybertruck owners. We're talking a little bit about Cybertruck on this week's podcast. They've got all the Expel pre-cut pieces to cover up and protect the non-stainless parts of the truck, the side mirrors, the truck bed sail trim and lip, the wheel arches, the rocker panels, the fender flare, all this stuff. And then if you don't have a Cybertruck, they've got a million other things like the custom fit tempered glass screen protectors that use Gorilla Glass for the center screens on all of our cars. They've got various lighting kits in both, higher brightness and or higher, just different colors as well. So just go to the website sometime, see what they've got. It's abstractocean.com. Pile everything you like into your online shopping cart. And when you get to checkout, use the coupon code RTL Podcast to get 15%. That's a lot. 15% off your first order using the code RTL Podcast. That's all one word, no spaces, as the Labradors are starting to rumble behind me here. So hopefully that's not coming through on mic. But if it is, now you know what's up. They're just down on the floor playing. Next up, Snap Plate and the newer, stronger Snap Plate Plus, available for 3, Y, X, and S. And yes, that includes the new Model Y, with the lower front bumper camera. I guess if the front bumper camera does come to the Model 3, as we hope and expect, that then the folks at SnapPlate are going to have to redesign their Model 3 one too. Although I guess maybe the Model Y one will just end up being compatible. I guess we'll find out. But for right now, if you've got a Tesla and you would like to, or need to, by law, put a front license plate on it, I do recommend the SnapPlate, either the regular SnapPlate or the stronger reinforced SnapPlate Plus. Both are available at everyamp.com/RTL. They're a nice, clean, minimal design. That's why I like it. And while it's on there securely, it will come off without leaving any unsightly hardware behind if you, for any reason, want to take it off. Whereas the one Tesla gives you with your car uses automotive tape. It physically sticks to the front of your car. So I'm not really a fan of that. Use the SnapPlate, everyamp.com/RTL, and get a discount using the coupon code RTL. Don't forget about Immaculate Reflections, a wonderful professional automotive detailer. If you're either in the greater San Francisco Bay Area or gonna be here, I highly recommend you make an appointment to bring your car to Immaculate Reflections. The summer special rolls on, probably not for too much longer. $200 off of any paint correction service, $500 off of any ceramic coating package, 15% off of any paint protection film package. So a lot of potential savings right there, and you will get an awesome protection on your car one way or the other, whether it's from rocks and chips and things via the PPF, or if you're ceramic coating, you'll get protection from the sun's harmful UV rays for your paint job there. And of course, paint correction is just going to get your paint looking as good as it possibly can, getting all those little swirl marks and little scratches out of that paint finish. So check them out at irdetailing.com or on Instagram. The handle there is immaculate_reflections, or you can even look at his Yelp page, which is yelp.com/immaculate reflections. I mentioned my Patreon a little while ago. I'd like to mention it one more time, if you wouldn't mind, because that is the way that this podcast continues. It's through your support. I'm here every week. You've all seen that for the past 10 years. I will continue to be here for the next, hopefully, 10 plus years, but your support does mean a lot to me and my family. So if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by going to my Patreon page, found at patreon.com/Tesla podcast, or just click the link in the episode description. And from there, there's, of course, the poll to vote on each week. That doesn't cost anything. That's free to everybody. But there's also the lightning rounds that go up every week for the folks at that $10 per month tier or higher. There's also the ad-free episodes go up there as soon as they're done, which is going to be in about 15, 20 minutes from now, after I get done recording this and I edit it and process it and get it uploaded and all that stuff. So the early access and ad-free is there for every single tier on my Patreon. So I'd be humbled and grateful if you'd consider a pledge. You can follow this podcast, if you like, on any of the big podcast services, either, Apple Podcasts or Spotify or TuneIn or YouTube podcasts. Just search Ride the Lightning Tesla on any of those big podcast services. This podcast should come right up, and just click the follow button. That way you will get a push notification every time a new episode is published. You can follow me on X and or on Instagram. I have the same username on both, and that username is DMC_Ryan. You can also email me anytime about Tesla or EV related things at teslapodcast@gmail.com. The last order of business before I go this week is one of my favorite parts of the podcast each week. It's saying hello and thank you to all of the top tier Patreon backers. I will start this week with the newest Maximum Plaid backer, Robert Moran. Robert, thank you so much. also sent me a very kind note as well. Thank you so much for your generous support, Robert. You will now be invited to every month's Patreon Zoom Hangout, which the next one, will be, the first Saturday of the month, which is going to be the 6th. So it's coming up in just about 2 weeks here, so I'll send out invites for that soon. The people that get invited to the monthly Zoom Hangout it's the Maximum Plaid backers. They always get invited, or higher. The Roadster and Space tier get invited too. And then anybody that has made a new or upgraded pledge over the course of the month gets a one-time thank you invite to that hangout if they'd like to join as well. So Robert, thank you. I hope I'll see you at the upcoming September hangout. And I want to thank the rest of the Maximum Plaid backers: Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Justin Perez, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, Nick Jacoby, Chip Hooper, and Matt Chinander. Next, the Roadster in Space backers. Big thanks goes out to Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. Lastly, the grandfathered-in Plaid level supporters, huge thanks for your continued support to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And that'll do it for Ride the Lightning episode 525. That'd be a palindrome. It reads the same forwards and backwards. And I've got 3 pretty tuckered out puppies. The puppy is working on a wood stick right now, like a proper dog toy, chewable wood stick. And the other 2 are just kind of chilling out. I'm about ready to go chill out myself Friday night here. I'm looking forward to getting into my weekend. I'm going to wash the Spirit of Adventure this weekend. It's a little grimy at this point. My car's still doing okay, but I hope all of you are, well, I guess most of you are hearing this on Sunday or later. I hope you've had a great weekend and that your week is off to a great start. Happy electric motoring, my friends, and I'll see you back here next week.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.